So all students, it's best if you share your details here. For example, Mukalisa, I see that you have found something. Would you like to share this with the class before we get into wrapping up the final presentation about global etiquette? Would you like to identify what this is saying? Or at least introduce it to the group? Mukalisa, are you here? Going once, going twice, maybe Mukalisa is not here. Anybody else that is sharing information with the group, you should all have your files in here to share it. And in addition to just this, there are things like this. Has anybody seen this yet in this class? This video? If you have seen it, if you can provide a couple of comments or introduce it, say what it's about, help the class understand details, and then check they understand what you're talking about, you get extra points. The more you talk, the more you get points. So, Hua, would you like to maybe call out somebody's name and see if they understand what this is about, or if they have something to contribute in any of these topics today?
I like to call on Arfin Zubai or
Arfin. Great.
Arfin, are you here? Are you still here?
Yes.
So as you see here, slide 20. If you can present what that is about, you can get extra points. Present what these other details are about. These other points, this was discussed. Some of the details here, there's several different details here. Anything you can share with the class, you can get points. Would you like to talk about what these details say? Or would you like to pass?
Professor, actually, I don't know about this.
You don't know about it? Okay. Anybody want 3 points? I will give away points as long as you have checked the topic and you can share something of value. This, for example, is a very short 2-minute video, and it's in the presentation, slide 20, talking about different cultural etiquette issues. Going once, trying to.
So the video is about this guy has a Japanese girlfriend, and he's trying to he has dinner with the girlfriend's family, and he makes a lot of mistakes that are like a little bit weird in Japanese culture. So that's what that video is about.
Yes. So let's just start by starting this video. It should be fun, the idea of sharing details. So now I just need to find out, how do I start this? Nope, I think this is not right. Just a second. Yeah, it's supposed to be working. Oh, here.
It's polite. It's okay.
What?
Bad luck.
ちゃんとヒロコ教えてあげなさいよ。
あなたの打ち方には好きがあるよ。What did he say?
팀과 같이 업무를 한다면 monday.com을 사용해 보세요. monday.com은
So we've gone through, we understand these details. Anybody want to explain? What are we talking? Why is this important?
Can I share?
About the different culture.
Everyone's sharing.
Can I go first? Because like within 15 minutes, our group will present about global etiquette, and the video is surely about the global etiquette, especially on the dining manner. And I think it's the cultural difference between West and East. Like making noise while eating, or like not receiving the alcohol in his glass from the madam. That I like that things.
Okay, so how many different mistakes do you see here? Actually, when we started class, I asked for international etiquette, at least North American etiquette, if anybody wanted to present. And so far, only one person sort of talked about it, but he said he didn't have material, so there was nobody able to present. That's what I understood at the beginning of class. It sounds like in the North American mindset that you're changing your mind. You said at the beginning that there was nothing to present. Now you're saying that there is something to present. So, okay, we will change the video so you can present, but this video, great, explain what are the mistakes? How many mistakes does he make? What are they? Each one.
Can I pick?
Sure.
The first one is the way he sit. Second one, the way he make noise. Third one is when he receive alcohol. And then fourth one is the way he use chopstick. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. But with international etiquette, a lot of people might not understand. What do you mean sitting? Sitting is sitting.
Sitting. If you look at the scene of this video, you can see the difference between the way he sit and the way the other guy sit. Your whole leg should not should, but usually touches the ground, but he's holding his leg together by his hand. And the second thing was noise. It's okay to make necessary noise when you're eating, but the way he makes noise is like he's intentionally making that noise because maybe he thought making noise was what he should do. And then
Explain a little bit more detail. What you said is a perfect example of cross-cultural communication. Everybody in the world, they have an idea in their head and they say it because they know it. But if you do not check other people understand, it could be misunderstood. So let's do a practice. You just said everybody was sitting on the floor. Great, he's sitting on the floor, done. But you said it's a problem with his legs. So I am showing how my legs look the same as his leg. I don't see a problem. Then you went on to the next part talking about chopsticks or drinking. But everybody is sitting on the floor. There's no difference.
if you can play the video back, showing the whole people in one scene, you can see the difference, the way they sit. I think it's better to see by image than me explaining about like it shouldn't be like this, it should be like that. It's easier to see by image, I think.
practice trying to use words to help develop your ability. Because as we see, almost everybody has an idea you know in your head, and you're trying to say it, and you just assume other people understand what is good, what is bad, what you're saying. But a lot of people do not have the same value as you. So you need to practice using words to communicate with cross-cultural communications.
Well, I'm suggesting, since we have a visual image ready to
You're
play
right.
anytime, so.
Easiest thing, but I'm trying to use the class to develop the class. We're trying to not just watch videos. Videos is a good thing to find something to think of. I'm trying to give, we have more than 20 people in class, anybody a chance to practice their communication that is in detail so that other people will understand. And it's going to be most difficult for many people in a high context cultural environment. For example, many people in Korea use one word like pegopa, but it means many different things. And what you said, your culture, you did say some things, and to be honest, I know perfectly what you're saying, but I also know from other cultures, you said he's sitting on the floor, he's sitting on the floor, done. You said he's holding his legs, great, he's sitting on the floor. Based on those words, I don't see a problem. So I'm asking somebody to try to go outside of normal for you and just say those words. What are the words that can explain it? We can't go back to the video if we can't use words, but I want somebody to practice.
Okay, can I try?
Yes, please. I think that's Samaj.
Yes.
Great.
Okay, so when it comes to him sitting, he's sitting with one of his knees raised above and his elbow is sitting on top of it. Meanwhile, everyone else at the table is kind of sitting, I believe, crisscross, if I was looking at it correctly. Their legs are crossed. They were sitting completely under the table, and he's just kind of sitting there like very nonchalant and kind of doesn't care. And for the chopstick situation, I can't really describe how he was using them because I just know.
Before we go on to the next example, check that your message is properly understood. So I heard is, again, you were sitting with on the floor and you said one leg is kind of up and everybody else, their feet is all on the floor under the table. So he has a foot under the table. You said he is nonchalant, but I don't understand how other people are. So
okay, so the other people at the table. Okay, so the other people at the table are sitting very, what's the word to describe it? Well-mannered in a way, kind of well-mannered, like put together and sitting, like their posture is straight. They're all sitting according to the way that they want to be perceived, like respectful, and that they're kind of not really paying attention, but like they want to be perceived as a respectable person. Meanwhile, him.
Maybe we have to use the video again, because I'm pretty sure when they were sitting at the table, yes, they might have started kind of straight. And I think the Tom Selleck guy, he also started straight. But when anybody was starting, I think everybody sort of bent over. So what were you just saying?
It's kind of, as I'm saying, I can describe it if I'm saying, I'm trying to describe it the best from memory, to be honest, but I can't really remember everything exactly right now.
Right, my point is not the movie. My point is practice using your brain to understand anything you think could be wrong in some other's view. Whatever you think is normal and easy to understand and easy to be good could be considered completely different or not understood in somebody else's view. And this is just practice. So I think Jamaj, you started, awesome. Samaj, you started helping, awesome. And we still see it's hard. I think it's a short one, 2-minute video, but it shows several examples. How about Emin Yu? Are you still here? Going once. Emin Yu, going twice. Emin Yu's not here. What about Solmin Kim? Are you here? Hua, I'd like you to try to help me pick people to start.
Oh, yeah, I'm here, sir.
Okay, can you help clarify what are we talking about? What is this situation?
Situation from the video or right now?
Okay, how about Ulugбек? Can you explain to Solmin Kim what's going on, what we're talking about?
I remember you were talking to Samaj and you complimented her about like helping other student and trying to make things clear. And I wonder what you are asking, what's going on right now.
Okay, this is another example. For example, in Canada and in the United States, generally, any question you get, you will get a response. Sometimes when you get a strange question you don't understand, you will give an answer, and then after that answer, you will say, is that what you were talking about? Did I understand you correctly? But almost every time anybody gives a question, you get an answer. The rule is, in unwritten rule in Canada, and I believe in the United States, Samaj, you can help me, and Gwen too. If somebody asks a question in North America, if you don't answer in North America, United States and Korea, United States and Canada, that's considered rude. If somebody asks a question and you answer with another question, it's generally considered either sarcastic or rude. Do you agree, Samaj and Gwen?
In a lot of situations, yeah.
So we just had Solmin Kim, you're trying to be nice and I'm trying to be nice. I'm trying to give away points. You're trying to get points. But what you did, although nice in Korea, in Canada, you were just rude to me. Do you know how you were rude to me, Solmin Kim?
Well, if you felt bad, I apologize for that, being rude. And all I wanted to ask was clarification because I didn't understand what's the purpose of your question. Because of that, I asked what's the purpose of your question, and I wanted to have clarification from you. That's all.
Okay.
No offense.
Every time in the future, when somebody asks you a question, give them an answer first, and then turn it around and ask more questions. A possible thing that you could say is, that's a very interesting question, especially based on that really interesting video that had so many things. What aspect were you most interested in? That at least is an answer, so it's polite. But if you just immediately ask a question back, or several people in Korea, when you're given a question, if you say nothing, if you stay quiet, that is very rude. The point of today is to learn about international respect, international etiquette. And so how do we do that? We are just using any example to give the students an opportunity to practice communicating anything about respect. So you get points, Solmin Kim, for just trying. If you actually knew how the video was making a mistake and how sitting like this, can you see me okay?
Yeah, we can see you clearly, sir.
Maybe do I have to share the, let me just think. Here it is. Okay, I think you can see me now, right? So if you are sitting on the ground, this foot is, your bum is on the ground, one foot is up. That's what the Tom Selleck white guy is saying. That's what he's doing. And the other people are just sitting like that. Let me help. So some people are just sitting like this. He has one leg like this and the other leg like this. But so far, nobody has explained what's the problem. Because some people, not me, I actually understand the answer, but I'm just saying, some people hear you just saying, you're sitting on the ground. Okay, fine. Usually the option is you sit on the ground or you sit in the chair. There's only two options, usually. And he's sitting on the ground, so it is the same. And so when you're saying he's making a mistake, some people don't understand. For example, my mother, my grandmother, they don't see the difference. Maybe because they sit in a chair for 80 years, they can't bend their leg to sit under the table with both legs. So what is rude? He's trying, understand? So I'm trying to get students, any of you, to just use your words, practice, and try to say something to explain a situation, especially because next week and the following week, you have to present a lot. You need to present your final research and get 20 points. So practice now, because if you present your final big project and you just say blah, 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 and then you think it's perfect and you sit down, you will miss marks. Today is an example. Say something, present one sentence about the video and just try to make sure the other people understand your point. It's not the same as say something and make sure they hear you. Because many people, you say something and they may hate it. Like in Japan, if you say, here's a contract, do you want to buy it? They will say, yes, I understand. And the American person will think, great, we have a contract deal. But that is not what the Japanese are saying. They're just saying, I understand you said something. So you need to check, not just did you hear me, but what do you think of what I said? So Yasser was great. He started, he gets points. Samaj is great. She started, she clarified a little bit more. She gets more points. So when Kim is explaining more, you get more points. But I want people to keep practicing until the message is undoubtedly clear. And right now, I just see, I don't know, there's 4 or 5 people sitting on the ground, including the Tom Selleck American guy. So what's the issue? What is the problem? You said there's 4 problems. Samaj said there's 4, sorry. Yasser said there's 4 problems. I don't see a problem yet. Can anybody help me? Hua, can you help pick another student?
Let's pick on Kavinjani. We haven't heard from you so far. Kavinjani or Minjin John?
Kavinjani, going once, going twice. Kavinjani might not be here today. And who is the other one?
Minjin John.
Jung Minjin.
John Minjin, sorry.
Yes, going once. We're trying to give marks to Kavinjani. We're trying to give marks to Jung Minjin. So both of them are not actually here. Next.
Moon Taek Kun.
Moon Jae Kun,
Yes.
are you here? Going once, going twice. That person. So far, we're going 3 for 3, not here, not able to participate or get marks. I'm trying to give marks away. Anybody else?
Diming. Are you here today, Diming? She's here, but she just doesn't say anything, so.
Give it 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. We've waited, we've been polite, we've given you an opportunity. Next.
I'll answer the question, but can you rephrase the question first?
Great. Can I get anybody in class try to help me teach this topic? Try to get anybody to help explain what we're doing. 2 people now have asked, Somin Kim and Gwen have both say, what's the question? What is the individual detail you're looking at? However, Somin Kim, that is an American type of thought in some sense. You're very individualistic focused. You're focused on just one detail. And I'm trying to get you to understand the whole relationship. No matter what it is, try to help learn about it. Anybody?
I was the first those who left a review about the video, and I said that I think it's the cultural difference between West and the East, especially on the dining manner. Is this what you mean, like the whole?
You said there is a difference. Great, but you didn't say what is the difference and why is there a problem. Be more specific. You are from a culture that is high context. You assume the time or the people's faces or other details are understood by other people, so you only use a few words from your culture. Versus several other cultures, they don't look at somebody's feet, they don't look at the clothes, they don't look at your legs, they just listen to the words you said, and based off the words, you didn't explain why there is a problem. So I'm giving you an opportunity to practice. You are from a culture that uses few words, and you assume other people understand. I'm giving you a practice to try to live that style. Try to live as a cross-cultural communication specialist, communicate using many specific words. What exactly is the problem and how can you fix it?
Professor, can I add a comment?
Sure.
So I guess from what you've said so far, calling this mistakes a problem is a problem because, you know, we need to accept the other cultures as well. So in this case, in this video, as you can see, the American guy, he did a mistake several times, but I guess the way he sits and the way he tries to get the drink and then the way he used the chopstick, I guess it's a normal thing in Western culture. So calling it a problem would be a problem itself. So
Good.
we need to accept it.
And can I add something?
Perfect. Yes, go ahead. Please keep adding things.
Because you talked about the high context and low context. As I know, the Oriental culture is more similar with the high context. It has to be humble and don't talk directly one's opinion to others. And you should consider the background and the narratives and context of the whole conversation. And however, the low context is usually shown in the West culture. They hate they pursuing the protection of privacy, and they prefer to communicate with more direct words, and they like things easy to understand and easy to enter to anyone.
So
I
you
think
talking about cultural differences, but we're focused on that movie of eating noodles. And in this short 2-minute movie of eating noodles, you haven't explained what is in the background that is important. What shows there is a problem? What is Tom Selleck doing? Or is it that young girl? Is she making the mistake? Is that the problem?
Can I comment on that part, please?
Sure.
Because that was my thing about the video, because I didn't understand how she would take him to have dinner with her family, but not explain the cultural differences.
Good, awesome.
Between the two, because you would.
What is the problem? You said somebody did something, which is good, Samaj, but you didn't say, and I understand you, but you said,
okay.
Say what is the problem and why.
Okay. So to me, the problem is the fact that since Japanese culture and American culture, I'm going to assume he's American or at least North American at least, The difference that Japanese and North American culture are two completely different cultures. And if you're not raised knowing a little bit about like Japanese culture as a person from North America, you're going to be completely lost. You're not going to have anything idea of what to do. And everything you do is going to be very disrespectful because you don't know. Whereas for her, I feel like she knows a little bit about North American culture as she is, maybe she knows a little bit about North American culture. So I feel like since she's a Japanese person that knows a little bit about North American culture and she's dating a guy from North America, she should have established the cultural difference between Japan and North America as someone that's dating someone from that culture.
I didn't even think of this. So Solman Kim, you're listening, I assume. And Yasser, you're listening. You guys contributed a lot to the discussion. And this is one of the first times somebody has said, you made the problem. And they're saying that it's the young girl that was bad and disrespectful. And the explanation was there's several people together, they're in Japan, and that girl is probably dating or having a relationship with a guy, and she hasn't taught that guy that culture's etiquette. So she set that guy up to look wrong, to look bad. She is bad. Yes, sir. Did you initially think the girl was bad? Solman Kim, also, did you initially think the girl was bad? Because I can perfectly see how the American view sees that girl is bad and the guy is perfectly innocent. What's the problem?
Okay, wait, he's not completely innocent, but
I actually see another problem.
Yes.
What is the guy's thinking? Or nobody has explained what the guy is thinking.
I think, to me, I feel like they're both kind of wrong. I feel like she should have explained the culture, but he could have also taken the time to research as well.
Okay, so the guy, anybody, before you interact with somebody from another culture, you are obligated to be intelligent and be prepared to be internationally polite. You
Somewhat, yes.
Other culture, at least a little bit.
Yeah.
Say, I don't know how to eat with the Japanese culture, but I've learned I should do this. Is this correct? Not do that, so he's wrong. He didn't prepare. And then the girl, the second example Samaj was talking about, is the girl was bringing an outsider in, but she didn't explain what to expect. What are the cultural differences? How to behave. And so she tried to be nice and bring the guy in. She tried to be nice and introduce the family, but because she did it without cross-cultural communication preparation, she insulted the family and that guy. Great. Solman Kim, was that what you were thinking? Yes, sir. Is that what you were thinking? And who's the other one? Min Jung Kim. Is that what you were thinking? Like this now, we see what is a problem and why we understand it. Can anybody else explain more? Because I see there's more problems. What are the other problems? And why is it a problem and how should you prepare?
Professor, can I ask a question? So let's just say that that guy, American guy, brings the Japanese girl to America and have a dinner with her. And while eating dinner with the guy's family, the girl makes noise while eating food, like noises that most Americans don't like. Do you think that would be girl's problem or the guy's problem that he didn't explain or didn't introduce the culture, like you're not supposed to do that or do this?
Class, to answer that very good question. No. How about Ulugh? Could you answer that question? If the guy took the girl to New York and they're eating, what is the problem there? Ulugh, any comments? No? Kavanjani? Who else is here? Will Win? Any comments from you? I'm trying to give you points. The more you talk, the more points you get. The more you try. There's no mistake. The more you practice speaking, considering cross-cultural communication, the better you get. So I give more points the more you do. We're waiting for you to pick somebody.
Maybe Ulabek.
Okay, I just asked him. I didn't hear from him. What about Zarnigar? Anybody. If Ulabek is there, start talking. Zarnigar, if you're there, please start talking.
Answer.
Gwen, sure.
So you're saying if the guy took the girl to New York to eat, what problem would there be? In my opinion, I don't think there would be any problem, honestly, because America doesn't have.
America is the center of the gap.
No, America doesn't have like a strict eating culture like Japan does. So I think even if she did, like, even if she ate according to her Japanese culture, it would just be like, oh, okay, that's different. Like, there wouldn't be a problem, I wouldn't think.
So you're saying if you had a person from Japan or Korea, or especially the Middle East, and you took them to visit your family in Texas or New York or wherever you're from, and you sat down with your family, and that person from Japan or Korea or the Middle East, if they started eating the noodles and they were going,
Huh?
that's no problem? You think your family is fine with that?
Honestly, I think my family's fine with it. Maybe other families not. Okay, yeah, I think you'd have to like tell them things maybe as they go along.
May I say something to that? Like maybe in defense of like Gwendolyn, I think many families would be okay with that, depending on really how serious or how serious the dinner invitation is. If you're going to a 2-star restaurant, of course, you should maybe pay something about etiquette, but it also depends like how the setting of the whole thing is. If it's just a casual family dinner, I think we would blow this out of proportion a bit if we really start discussing, like if she's just eating her way, like spaghettis or something. I don't think there would be any problem with most of the families. If it's like a formal family dinner, then we would probably have a problem, but then it's a problem of both the guys and especially the guy not telling the girl.
Can I say something?
I see this situation about the Canadian or the American bringing somebody from Japan or Korea or the Middle East over. My grandmother would feel shocked. And I think many of the people I grew up with, maybe not my generation or lower, but especially the older generation, they would feel a little shocked. Why? Again, I want you guys, don't just express this is the way it is, express your idea and try to check other people understand. So I'm going to explain it. The reason why is because my grandmother used to teach everybody in the family and even the neighbors were supposed to eat and act like the queen. And the queen would never have her feet at the table. The queen never eats with her hands. And the queen never makes sound when she's eating. And the queen always closes her mouth when she's eating. Things like that. So where I grew up, and it's definitely not everywhere, but there was a expectation of etiquette. And yes, absolutely. Some people care about etiquette and some people don't care about etiquette. It is especially important in certain situations. For a big business meeting, you should care. If you're going to meet, for example, your boyfriend's family before you get married, I believe, in my opinion, that is important. You have to research what that other family likes, wants, what they do. How can you fit in to that family and explain or discuss or make fun or chit chat about the differences? But if you do not recognize there are differences and you don't care about the other culture, what is that called? That means you are either parochial or ethnocentric. If you only know your way and you express it, and you don't check other people understand why you're saying that, you are ethnocentric. If you stand at the beginning of a class and you give a presentation, then you sit down and people, like one or two people say good job, but everybody else is quiet or falling asleep, you did not check they understand your message. That's number one. Number two, you have to check the other people can say something back about their level of understanding. So give suggestions to clarify it. Otherwise, if you don't, if you just go to the country and start eating in your own way, that is parochial or ethnocentric, which unfortunately, it is normal, but at the same time, it's disrespectful and it's bad. It is like Donald Trump. You're thinking your way is good, the other ways are not important. For you to be a good global citizen, for you to be a good cross-cultural communicator, you have to respect other styles are different. And most people don't know how that other style is different. So do your normal thing, but try before you do it to check what do they expect. So you can modify it a little bit. And then when you have modified and you're presenting, as you're presenting, check. Do you understand this? What do you think? How can I make it better? How can I make this clear? Do you understand this? What does that mean to you? Do you understand this? How can I make this better? Don't just go all the way through an hour presentation and then finish. Try each idea to be understood. So, Moon Tae-kyun, do you think you could summarize in 5 seconds or 10 seconds? What did I just say? I talked way too much. Moon Tae-kyun, are you here? Maybe not. Hua, anybody else?
Ali Akbar, are
Great.
you here? Ali? Maybe no.
Professor, if there is no one to add a comment about the video, may I start the presentation of week 11?
How about you start by understanding so far, I think 12 people have
Can you hear me?
You said nobody's providing information. 12 people have provided information. But what I'm saying is, so far, most people are still, even though they're trying and they're getting benefits, they're still a little bit ethnocentric. You also, your comment saying everybody's agreeing means you don't understand or respect that other value.
No, I think sorry, Professor, but I think what she is saying is that we're running out of time. And that's the problem we have. We want to present our, for week 11, which we have right now. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we would like to present right now so that maybe we could give another point to the whole discussion, because our topic is international etiquette. And that maybe it gives another view on the whole discussion and maybe enriches it by that. So maybe, sorry, really sorry to interrupt you, but like the time is really a problem, and you said multiple times that we should actually be like we want to present right now. So that's why I'm just that's why we want to present.
Great, Tobias, take
Yes.
10 seconds and try to wrap it up. What was one example you saw and explained, and then you can present it.
I'm sorry, what? Which example you're talking about?
Any example in that movie, any example of cross-cultural communication, what is the problem and how can you solve it?
If I have to be honest, I didn't see the movie. Sorry, Professor. I have to rewatch it, but yeah.
I was about to let you do it, but if you're not respectful to show up for class time, I can't interrupt other people in the middle of this. How about your partner, the first one that was just saying that? What was her name? Minjung? Can you try to make one comment? Anybody else in your group? Try to clarify one more issue. And then you can present. What in your group? Are you not trying to present?
If I leave one sentence comment on the video, I would say, it's originated by the cultural difference, and we should learn about global etiquette.
Okay. I am letting you present now, but do you see that you did not explain your thought during your presentation? Go ahead, start your presentation, Minjung. While you're giving your presentation, make sure you explain your thought and check other people understand. I do not want to see you starting at the beginning of the presentation and talking nonstop with your group until you finish. I want to see you explain some concept at the beginning and check what other people understand and how they can reword it. Is that clear, Minjung? If it's clear, please go ahead and start.
Yes, this is our presentation. We would like to, present about global etiquette.
Kyunggan-jung, Daniel, while we are waiting for them to start, can you comment on their cover slide?
I can, but I'm sorry, this place is too loud.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm ready. So this is group 5, Minjung, Kim, Rosie, and Tobias, and we will talk about the global etiquette. This is our table of contents. We categorized this.
Let's make a deal. Minjung, I will give you full points, okay? You're trying, but you're not seeing another culture's value. You have read something in your mind, but you're not listening to the other side. I was just saying, your cover slide, can you back to your cover slide? Gwen, can you comment on that cover slide? What have we learned in class about how you can communicate effectively, especially online? What should you have in a cover slide?
Things that catch your attention in like 7 seconds or less.
Perfect. And what else?
Lots of it from like contact information.
Good. Minjung, can you repeat that? Or Tobias, can you repeat that?
Yes, I can. Contact information and basically the date, the today's date would also be good, but yeah.
That's not what we talked about. Contact information, yes. But what was the other thing that she said? She didn't say the date. Date is nice, but optional.
Something that catches your eyes in 7 seconds or less.
Right. Your communication, especially online, you will not catch anybody else. You won't get listeners unless you catch their attention. So give them a logo or give them some sentence that teaches them something or is controversial that attracts their attention. The idea of global etiquette, it's nice, but showing an example might be better. Hopefully your final presentation, you can have your content. Let's go on to the next slide.
Okay, this is our table of contents, and we categorized into 6 each manner and each like I'm so nervous. I'm sorry. Yeah, let's start with what is the definition of the global etiquette. The etiquette is a French word. Originally, it referred to a label, a tag, and it is known that the use of the same meaning as in the present was derived from the Palace of Versailles during the reign of Louis XIV. Etiquette is defined as a universal manner or norm that everyone must follow. It is a kind of promise that is hardened by the culture and customs of a country and the people. So there are differences, but right and wrong do not exist. However, basic etiquette used in the international community is an important element that should be known as a global citizen. So first one is greetings, the basics of the etiquette. In many Asian countries, including Korea, it is common to bow in a vertical manner, lowering the body by bending the upper body. It is in accordance with the habit of farming since ancient times. In the West, where nomads and hunting have been the mainstays, horizontal greetings such as handshakes and hugs have continued. The basic principle of greeting is that the person who sees the other person first greets them first. So this is the result of when we Googled greeting in English. And this is the result of when we Googled insa, which means greeting in Korean. And you see the difference. And the cheek kiss is still very awkward in the East, but it is a fairly common greeting method in Europe for a long time. It is usually performed between friends and greets in order from left to right cheeks. The kiss on the back of hand, which originated in Spain in the 16th century, is still a greeting practice in some European countries. And the second one is communication, how to communication and the proper use of no, saying no. The first condition of global etiquette when communicating is consideration of the other person. You should listen to the other person in a pleasant and active manner and respond through words and hand gestures. In Korea, when listening to the other person's words, there are many cases in which they do not react much. However, in the West, it is polite to give back to the other person when the conversation is over. And cutting off in the middle is a big disrespect. Knowing the name of the person in the conversation is basic. In Korea, it is usually used to refer to the other person's title, such as a teacher or boss. But in the West, it is better to call them by their last name or first name. So if the other person asks you to call them by their first name, you can call them by their first name without the last name. When the person compliments, Koreans lower themselves with negative expressions, meaning no, but saying thank you is much better than that. And in Korea, they often do not express their opinions directly, especially in business relationships. You must express your opinion accurately and draw clear conclusions in the West. There are many cases in which the word no is not used properly, resulting in a lot of trouble later.
So our next section is clothing. Dressing for the occasion is a very basic concept understood globally. However, the dress code for occasions can differ drastically across the globe. To ensure proper etiquette in international settings, research about the country would be advisable to do, as factors such as culture, traditions, and religion can drastically play a role in the setting and the dress code of the occasion. This is especially important when dealing with important occasions, for example, a business meeting, in which impressions can play a big role, as dressing accordingly will show respect towards the other person and can show how seriously one is taking the situation. For example, countries such as China and Russia would require humble and conservative attire with no bold colors, with suits and skirts or dresses that go below the knee, and with natural makeup for women. Meanwhile, countries in Africa and Middle East, for example, will be affected by religion, with some countries requiring head or face coverings or full body covering even for women. On the other hand, countries in America and Europe are more casual, typically business casual clothing, and they can get away with a much more lax, clean look, and formal wear is saved for more special occasions. Dining, which I guess we've been talking about quite a bit in class, so I will just quickly go over this. Basically, there's a quote by a French judge that states that, "Tell me what kind of food you eat, and I'll tell you what kind of person you are." This means it should be taken as emphasizing that how one eats a certain food has to do with the person's dignity and the way they respect a culture. Reservations before meals are essential, and keeping guests waiting or taking a bad seat can lower the quality of a meal depending on the culture. For example, showing up in France very early would maybe not be ideal. If anybody has any questions up to this point, I hope everybody's understanding so far what we're saying.
Can you show some picture about the clothing
Great.
between cultures?
First one to stop and check other people have understood, number one. So that's awesome. Thank you very much, Rosie. And somebody else was about to ask a question with it. Great. There's always ways to improve. You have lived your life, I don't know, maybe decades in one way. So practice communicating something, or even understanding that what you do is good or could be considered bad. It takes a lot to understand another culture. So practice. Every time you say a paragraph or every time you have a slide, try to get a question from somebody or a way to improve it. Thank you. Somebody was about to ask a question about, what was it, the clothing? What was your question before I interrupted you?
I was asking Rosie to show me some clothing, the differences between culture about clothing.
Yeah, sorry, I'm not sharing the screen. So Minjung, could you just quickly Google some different clothing?
Rosie, you can share your screen if you want. Again, the whole idea of your PPT, maybe Rosie and Tobias, maybe you have 40 different slides. That's fine. But what is more important than your 40 slides is that each paragraph or each idea is appreciated or at least respectful of other cultures. So try not to give 40 slides, then stop. Try to give an idea and then check each idea by each idea.
Hey, can you, I'm sharing my screen. I'm not sure, is this, oh, okay, it is visible. Here you can see the attire in America.
To me, it looks like the people in the black look like the attire in East Asia versus the top left with the red and the yellow. That looks like the American attire. In some
Yeah, this is definitely more the casual dress code in America. And then here you can see, like, for example, the Middle East, where it's a lot more conservative, but also a lot of covering and very, with the suits and very professional. That's the word I'm looking for.
Great. Thank you. So now we are actually saying something, interacting, checking our message is understood. Perfect. That is the most valuable rather than 40 slides of details. Thank you. Please continue. I will keep giving points. Thank you, Rosie.
No problem.
And maybe I'm going to get in trouble for this, but Minjung Kim, because you are Korean and you're coming from a culture that doesn't interrupt a professor, that means it might be harder for you to suggest the change for me. So technically, I should give you, Minjung, more points than giving points to Rosie, that's coming from a culture where it's more open and equal to share contradictions, for example. Does that make sense, Minjung and Rosie?
Yes.
Don't be negative. Don't be afraid. I'm not a big alligator ready to bite you up. I want to help you. Please continue. Very good job so far. I think we were about to talk about dining food in your mouth. Does anybody want to talk about this, or are we finished?
We went over dining. I didn't want to go too into detail because we've been discussing it a lot earlier in the class, but basically just the way you eat is very different in different cultures. For example, with the chopsticks and how you sit in Asia, and then whereas in Europe, you would use your knives and forks, and slurping and things like that would be considered not so respectful. And the place you sit can be very different, like it has a very different meaning in different cultures and things like that.
Thank you. Please go back. The slide where you're talking about what you just said. You expressed eating is different in each country, but you didn't really explain how. And then you started to. You started to say using a knife and fork versus chopsticks could be disrespectful. And I kind of disagree. I don't think it's rude in Korea or Japan for somebody to use a knife and fork when other people are using a chopstick. I don't think that is the disrespectful aspect.
I wouldn't necessarily say that that's the disrespectful aspect, but for example, like the slurping in or excessive slurping in the West could be considered disrespectful in certain situations. Or for example, in India, you would eat with your hands, which you wouldn't do in the West because that would be seen as dirty. But things like that. I didn't want to go too into detail because we have quite a few more slides and topics that we've been discussing dining earlier as well. So I didn't want to go too much into detail on that.
Min Jung Kim, can you help with what she just said? She explained two things well to help others understand. My point is, rather than saying eating with chopsticks is rude, or sitting on the floor, one guy is rude, explaining how it's rude so that somebody that doesn't know what you know understands. That is more important than going through 40 slides. Don't worry about your whole presentation. This is just practice for your communication style. So whether you have 10 slides or 100 slides, it's more important how you're communicating. Can you, Minjung or Tobias or Rosie, try to get somebody in the audience to comment on what you just said? That is more cross-cultural communication, polite.
Can I?
Go ahead.
Can you explain to me why I shouldn't talk while eating? The same thing that you show in the previous page.
Yeah, you can kind of see. I at least in the West, I'm not too sure because I'm from Europe. We consider eating with your or like talking with your mouth full very disrespectful because you can kind of see the person eating and it makes some not so great noise and it's just very unattractive. I don't really know the very background of it, but it's seen as very disrespectful as it's kind of just mixing up talking and eating and it's not very.
Also, one thing in addition to that, it's very disrespectful, but also you can kind of, if you eat with a full mouth, normally what people start doing is by speaking, they start spitting out their food. That's one of the main reasons you shouldn't eat with a full mouth anyway.
Yeah.
You shouldn't speak with a full mouth anyway. So that's why, to avoid that, it's kind of a normal rule, kind of etiquette or Knigge, like we call it in Germany, to not eat and speak at the same time. You can eat a certain amount, then basically get it down, then speak again, then eat again. Like we don't do it at the same time. But it's not like you eat all of it and don't speak at all while eating. That's generally not the case.
And in addition to that, according to my research, I really found interesting one. The Koreans are usually like blowing the soup to cool it down, but it is the very disrespectful manner in the West.
Tobias, you just gave a great comment. If I may, can I just, you can see my screen, right? This culture, to be polite, they spit in front of you. So could you just please repeat what you said, Tobias?
Yes, I could. In Western countries, I know that some African country or some African traditions are different. In Western countries, normally we don't spit in, like spitting in general is considered something bad. So yeah, I like don't eat while don't eat and talk at the same time. You could spit at someone or in the direction of someone, or just spit on the table, which is both like bad looking kind of.
You see that comment you just made, knowing that they spit not on you, but towards you. Sometimes they do spit on people, like a baptism type of thing. They will spit on another person. That is a sign of respect. That's not what I'm talking about, though. What I'm talking about is you just used a sentence, and I'm not going to be perfect with communicating, but I think I heard you say that in general, everybody agrees spitting is not good. So by saying that, you automatically insulted some people that do spit. For example, in Korea, there's a lot of older guys that will spit on the sidewalk. Same in China, same in other places. So
yeah, but is that something good to do that here, or I'm not sure. Like spitting on the sidewalk, is that in general something something that is considered like very good here? I know that in some countries or by traditions, not everything we have in the Western world is considered a good manner, and not everything in the in Africa is like applicable to the things we think in the West are etiquette or or good behavior in that way. I'm very well aware of that, but still, when I'm saying in general, like for most, I'm saying for most of the people, and like spitting at someone, that is considered in like at least 95% of the world as basically not a good thing.
Second, whoa. Okay, I want to first start by giving you compliments. You started that last expression saying that I don't know what it's like in other areas, but my opinion is this. That is perfect. That is very respectful. However, I do also need to bring you back to, you said most of the world. Do you not realize that India and China alone, I believe, is 2/5 of the world's population? And then Africa together and South America together, that's far more than just the population in Europe or in the United States. So your idea of most of the world is not correct. Most of the world is very poor. Most of the world is not in Europe or North America. I don't want to attack anybody. I just want to everybody. I think now class is finished, right? But the idea that what you think is good was created over many years. How many years have you been alive learning this is good? But on the other side of the world, there's a different mother standing there saying the same thing points a different way. So they do something a different way. And they think things are good. It takes a lot of time and effort and energy to appreciate the other style is possible. So start with saying, my understanding is this, or is this okay? And then rather than just say, he's not sitting on the floor properly, you need to say how you're supposed to. For example, my mother, maybe because of her health, she cannot sit on the floor. Physically, she will have leg or back problems. So is she rude just because she has physical problems? You haven't explained that. Anyway, I think, how much time do we have left? Is there anything else that you guys would like to really talk about? Because I'll give you full.
Sorry to interrupt you. We just have some very basic examples of basically etiquette differentiated by countries, and maybe some things that would be considered rude in other countries, but are totally fine then again in other cultures, for example. Yeah, yeah, just start there. Also for business etiquette, just a quick thing. Business etiquette is different in every country, or is different in like saying on every continent, or different by also by traditions. For example, in Germany, business etiquette varies drastically if you're up in the north or in the south, which is, I think, applicable to most countries. Seeing the USA, or at least very very big countries, which involve normally, like by history, a lot of different traditions and a lot of different origins of traditions, and how the people actually develop their traditions or behavior. So really reading the etiquette book, or Knigge, or like knowing about the etiquettes especially not in countries, but also in if you're talking about a lower level, like in different states of a country, is really key to leaving a good impression on your opposite, or on your talking partner or your business partner. And yes, that should be said to business etiquette. Not going into too much detail, because business etiquette is also in the examples we have prepared. Yes.
Great. Thank you.
So these are our examples. Just real quick. So these are just some examples of different cultures valuing, having different standards, or valuing things differently. So in China, for example, it's considered rude to talk about business during meals. Or in Japan, for example, if you leave a glass 1/3 left, then if the glass is empty, they refill your glass normally, like automatically when drinking. If you leave 1/3, that kind of signals that you're done with the whole drink. Then you're done with drinking. In Hong Kong. In India, it's the left hand is unclean, so you will never use the left hand to actually greet somebody or eat. They always eat with the right hand. I know that also from a friend who comes from New Delhi. Slow a bit down, Minjong. Stop. Yeah, yeah, right. In Indonesia, it's what considered in for example, in Germany, it's like a total normal thing, but you do not stroke the child's head. In Vietnam, you don't touch the other person's shoulder, or in Mongolia, you do not point at people with your finger, but that's also considered rude in like, for example, in whole Europe, you do not point with your finger at people. In general, you do not do that. In France, it's actually that's one of the key differences in Europe. In Germany, we are normally on time, and it's considered very rude to let the other people wait. In Germany, it goes so far that people might be there like 5 to 10 minutes prior to the event, so that the event can start on time, or the dining can start on time. In France, it's the opposite. Being a few minutes late actually shows some respect for them. In Italy, touching ears is an insult. In Spain, you might need to wait a few, like 2 hours after you made an appointment, and that was like a German example, which I think comes to mind, or comes most for me to mind, when I walk through a subway station in Korea, that nobody or many people don't hold the door open for you. And in Germany, we always do hold the door open, because that is considered like polite, to hold the door open for people who may walk behind you. Like, it doesn't matter if doesn't matter the age of the person or the medical condition. It just matters that you do it. Here in Korea, I often have a door in my face right away if I walk through a subway station. So it should be said, some etiquettes are also laws, or are considered kind of laws. So in Egypt, for example, or most Arabic, like Qatar, for example, Egypt, the UAE, you should refrain from talking to women you don't know. and and you should not touch them in any way. And in Israel, if you do the thumbs up gesture, that's kind of not etiquette, but that's more normal rule. The thumbs up gesture for actually getting picked up by a car on the roadside, which some people know maybe because they traveled by foot through a country and do this thumbs up gesture. In Israel, for example, you will be or it is kind of a sign for a prostitute. So yeah, you should not do that in Israel. That were our quick examples. For more, like, there are tons of examples. And going to every country, you should really read through different like your behavioral guides or something to really be aware what is considered rude or what not.
See that one of the listeners has a question. Will Win, you had a question. Class is.
Yes, please.
Yeah. In the previous page, you said that in Vietnamese you shouldn't touch other shoulder, but I'm a Vietnamese and I touch other shoulder every time, and I don't know where you get that information.
Awesome. So for everybody, especially for your final presentations, whenever you're presenting, give a reference where you got it. That way, when something like this happens and there's a mistake or somebody wants to debate something, you can say, okay, that's a valid point. We will check and update this research from somebody else, not you. So very good point. Thank you for bringing that up, Will. And again, Tobias, I want to, you have top marks. You do not have to continue going beyond the class time. I love it, but your message is clear. It is better to say a couple of ideas and check that's understood rather than just run through and try to give all presentation details. Try to connect with the audience. That's far more important than just sharing what you think is good.